and that probably works okay. I don't like it because it's one more thing that can go wrong.
So last week we took a rest from working on the boat to look at our mooring lines. We showed you what we do and why, and then how we use them. But this week we're back on the boat. We finish off the wiring, we finally get that stubborn SEACOCK removed from the engine, and we make a start on the headline.
I don't know what you call that kind of knot effectively where it goes through, but effectively it locks it onto the eye on the swivel like that. And for us, right, so I'm back on the boat this week, and just as last week nothing came together and it was a real effort and I couldn't get anything done, this week, although I haven't actually had, or yesterday I didn't get much time on the boat, I actually got a lot done. Today I've had more time on the boat but don't seem to have got so much done. But anyway, we're making progress. I've got the wiring all in place. I've basically I've taken the power out of the existing light circuit, run it up round the back of the instrument, the boards that cover the instruments, and then created a kind of and then gone to the switch, and from that I've separated it into 3 circuits effectively, one of which are going to be the main cabin lights, which I've soldered effectively a ring, used the cable, soldered it together, make a ring, and then the connection to the light is done using these Wago connectors. I put the question to the Practical Boat Owners Forum about saying exactly what I'd done. I'd mocked up the original circuit using chop blocks just to sort of screw it all together to check it all worked and I liked where the lights were going to go. But there must be something better to connect the lights up with when I finally do it for real. And the general consensus was that chop blocks work fine and we're okay as long as they're done properly. But the thing to use were these Wago connectors, which I'd never heard of. And interestingly, the person who mentioned that was Shifter Dave, who's the cruiser class chairman or captain or whatever at our club, which was quite good. Anyway, he said use these Wago connectors, so I've looked into it, and quite a few other people said yes, you use these. Once you use them, you never go back. They're great, and I have to say they are really impressive. I've never seen them before. They basically do the same job as a chop block, except you don't need any tools, and you can join as many lots of wires to one connection as you want, rather than the old kind of squeeze all the wires together and force it in the hole and do the screw up. You can buy these Wago connectors in sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 block connectors so that you can put multiple wires into one connection. The one thing against them really is they're kind of a bit clumsy. You kind of can't stick them down. They're a little bit bulky, and there's nothing you can do. You're not going to make them look neat. But seeing as these connections are all going up inside the headline, that neatness really doesn't matter that much. So it was good. I used a tinned wire because that's what you should use. If you've ever done like work on a car, I always end up with old cars and things like the horn will end up packing up because the connector's falling off the end and because the copper kind of goes black and starts to go rotten effectively. That's what happens when the moisture gets into it, and of course boats are wet. So, but if you use tinned wire, the tinning process seals the copper and prevents that from happening. So bought some tinned wire, soldered it together like I say to make a harness, and then I tape that harness to the ceiling using masking tape. I wouldn't have even thought about it, except that there was already some wiring in the boat stuck up with masking tape, and it's been there for years and it still seems to be doing the job. And as I really only need it there to kind of hold it in place while the headline and that goes up, I thought I'd do it, and I'll tell you, it's brilliant. It looks neat, it sort of blends in, it's dead easy to use, it's dirt cheap, and it does the job. So I've stuck the harness all up with masking tape, and then so there's 3 circuits. First circuit is the one I just talked about, which is the main cabin lights. Next circuit is going to be for our LED lights that are going along the bottom of the seats and the top of the seats effectively, just for a bit of an ambient light that's not as bright as the main lights. You buy these LEDs on a strip, They don't use much power. They give off a reasonable amount of light, and that's what they're for. Unfortunately, the first ones I ordered I was inadvertently picked off eBay from China, and were going to take weeks. And then the second one that I ordered said they'd be here by like Tuesday, so I could do them this weekend, and they haven't turned up. So, but it didn't stop me running the wires to connect to them. It's going to make connecting them up a little bit more of a pain because they need to be soldered on and stuff, and I'm going to have to do it on my knees on the floor or something. But I can do that. It just means I couldn't get it finished now. So yeah, so that's the second circuit for those, and that effectively, because my switch, we've decided to put the switch up near the ceiling, just up around the back of the instruments. There was nowhere neat to put it, and we figured we didn't want it down on the where the switches are, because when you come back late at night or something and you want to just reach around and switch a light on, it's a lot easier with it somewhere near the hatch. So we're going to put it up by the instruments. So the power went there. So then to get to these LED lights, I ran basically a feed all the way down through the middle of the boat, through the roof space, and then once I got into the kind of area where the toilet is, I've split it from there using another one of these big Wago connectors to take 5 connections, because I've got the main power in, which is 1, and then the 4 circuits, 2 seat backs, 2 seat bottoms. Of those, the 4 lights, the 2 that go to the seat backs up the top were easy because I could tuck them up underneath the headlining that was already there. It's not that neat, but it's part of the boat, so that was already there, so I can just hide them. The 2 that go to the bottom, one's inside the cupboard, so that's no problem because I effectively can just effectively tape it onto the back of the cupboard. You'll never see it, you wouldn't even know it's there, and that's nice and neat. The one that goes down there by the toilet was going to be exposed, and I spent ages trying to decide how best to do it. I could run it along around the back of the toilet and then along under the floor, but even if I did that, it wouldn't it wouldn't be a very neat, easy route to do, and B, it still wouldn't look very neat. And then while I was digging around in the garage, while I was tidying it up last weekend, I came across a bit of chrome tile trim from when we did the extension on our house. We did this like 2-tone tiled effect in the ensuite we built, and we used this chrome trim to go around the tile just to make it look pretty. Yeah, in the bath. But anyway, this trim has kind of got like a C shape to the end of it because it wraps around the tile. And I was looking at it thinking there's just enough room in that C for me to put the wires. So I effectively trimmed off the back of it, the bit that's the tile was meant to sit on. So I've now just got the C, and then sure enough, it fitted perfectly. So I've used hot glue gun, stuck the wires inside the C of the channel, and then just a little bit of hot glue just to tack the channel up onto the king post effectively in the boat, and it's really neat. Looks good. And the trim now, it's proper it's metal. It's like I don't know how they chrome aluminium, because it's aluminium but it's chrome, which is not a normal process. I don't know, but anyway, the ones in our bathroom have lasted brilliantly. It doesn't discolour or fade or peel off or anything, so I've got high hopes for that. And although it's not cheap stuff, that if you buy it, it didn't cost me anything, so it's good. So that's tidied that up. So yeah, no, I did all that yesterday and tidied up obviously the main switch panel because that could be finished, and then I did all that in 2 hours, which was fantastic. Although I'd started it, didn't finish it, yeah, but I finished it in 2 hours. And then I had a go at the SEACOCK. You may remember I tried to start that last week and then didn't have a spanner that was fitted. It's not a case of didn't have a spanner, it's a case of I didn't have a spanner that would fit on it and that was short enough for the space I had available. But 2 things happened this week. Well, one is I bought a spanner, 28mm, that was going to fit, and I cut it in half because now that was enough to fit in the space. And then the other thing that happened this week is it's warmed up. It's like 8-9 degrees now, so the rubber hose that was that goes for the exhaust was actually just about flexible enough that I could now move it. So I've moved it out of the way, which gave me a lot of space. Got my little spanner on it because that's the only thing that would fit in the space I had available. And if I heaved with all my might, having squeezed into this ridiculously uncomfortable position, head down over the back of the engine, I could move it like a 1/16 of a turn. And then I'd have to reposition myself and move the spanner, and then I found that if I got, some of the time I'm turning it like this, and some of the time it was hooked on and I was twisting it like that, and I could put my big adjustable on it and just about fit like that. But anyway, it was really well hard on, and if I put all my might in, I could shift it like a 1/16 of a turn, 1/16 of a turn, 1/16 of a turn, shit like that. It took me an hour to unscrew that. Was there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threads, and the last 2 were probably not too bad. I spun them off, but that was really painful work. But it's one of those, you know, the light was at the end of the tunnel, albeit, you know, a long slow journey. I wasn't going to stop anyway. Got that off last night, which was really chuffed with. So today I've just been concentrating on cutting the boards for the headlining, which is taking an amazing amount of time. I thought, since I had the old boards, I could just draw around them, cut them out and go up. How hard can it be? But you know, it's it's a little bit of jiggling and jiggly pokery to sort of make it fit, and where I want to obviously then mark out where the lights are going to go in it. I've had to sort of think about that. But anyway, it seems to be taking all day, and then I went out and trying to buy the fittings I need to replace that, because what I want to do is put effectively an elbow where that is, and then put a normal stopcock on there with a lever like this, which I might be able to reach down and get hold of. And I want to use bronze fittings. Well, I'm going to use a DZR ball valve, because I couldn't find a bronze ball valve. It can't be too big, because once that's, I've got to screw this elbow on, which can't be too big because there's the engine in the way. And if this ball valve that then screwed on there was too big, I wouldn't be able to turn it round in the space I've got available to make it fit. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to do what I've got with what I've got, but I've got to try. So it's a DZR ball valve and then bronze fittings all to it. I'm quite happy with that. I didn't want to use brass. This DZR is kind of a next best compromise, isn't it, after bronze? Certainly going to give us a few years without any worry, and it's going to be a lot better than what I had, as long as I can make it fit in the space, which isn't very big. So I got most of the bits. Had to order the half-inch hex nipple to screw it all together with, so I can't finish that. But anyway, yeah, it's coming along. Hopefully, I'll have these panels cut out today, ready to go up. I'd love to cover them, but we can't decide what we want to do for a covering. And we'd love your ideas or opinions on that subject. I've had a couple of people comment, ask the question about how I can get my garage off, and I had a few people with good suggestions, 2 of which are brilliant. One was like, why don't I use an old hacksaw blade, grind that flat, and I might be able to work that under, and that is a good idea because it's the right sort of material, isn't it? It's stiff, it's designed to, you know, bend but still be hard enough to cut. And then the other one, which I really like, which I don't know if it's going to work, but it's a great idea if it does work, is use an old guitar string like a cheese slice. I can work it round the gap and then just slide it backwards and forwards and work it through. And I love that because it's going to mould itself to the shape of the curved surface of the coach roof. Great idea. Haven't done it yet, but I've forgotten the names of the people that done it. But the people that suggested the ideas for it, thank you very much. Very good. So on that, another thing we'd like some ideas on is what colour to put on our headlining. We've already got this existing white vinyl, foam-backed white vinyl that's on the boat, and most of it's come off because of the panels, but the bits around the windows are staying because there's nothing really wrong with it, and I don't want to disturb the windows. The windows don't leak, they're good windows. There is no reason to touch the window, so I'm not going to touch it just to change a little bit of headline that's behind it. But because of that, I don't want to. I can't bring myself to just cover the panels I've got in more white foam-backed white vinyl, because the texture is going to be different. As much as we might try to match it, it's going to be different. New vinyl is definitely going to be whiter than old vinyl, and you're going to end up with this kind of, the old stuff's going to stand out. So if it's going to be different, I'd like to make it obviously different. So then we might want to pick a different colour. We've got a sample of, we kind of like the idea of just a very light grey, but no one seems to do a very light grey, or not that we've managed to find yet. We got a sample of a light tan colour, which it's a browny brown, not not a reddy brown, if you see what I mean. When it would kind of fit, I think, quite nicely with the woodwork in here. And then it would be different. You'd have a nice two-tone effect on the ceiling, the white bit and the brown, you know. But I'm not sure. The other thing I'd like is, Hannah still wants obviously to get the cushions done, and I've found the details of a local guy that I'll phone up tonight and see and discuss our options with him. But I was thinking, like, if we had the headlining done in the same colour as the cushions, maybe if, you know, the darker grey, although I don't like the idea of it on its own, but if it was darker grey cushions with a darker grey matching headlining, would that look good, or would it just look all too cheesy, or I don't know. Anyway, if you've got any thoughts on the matter, please let us know. We do like the whole foam backed vinyl type idea though. It's easy to wipe down, and the thing with our boat is it is only 29 foot long. Although you can stand up, you can only just stand up when you're my size. If you're any bigger than me, it's a bit of a struggle. So foam back stuff adds a bit of insulation, adds a bit of padding if you bang your head. It's the right stuff. Just trying to find the right type of foam backed stuff. So anyway, if you've got any ideas, let us know. Other than that, I'm going to crack on now, get these boards done before I lose the light, because it's although it's a warmer day today, it's a bit gloomy. So, I'm Ian. You've been watching Sailing with the Foxwell family. Thanks for watching. Maybe come back next week and we'll show you what we've done.